We cater to academic research, we cater to in vitro diagnostics, we cater to pharma, biopharma space. When it comes to academic research, I still believe the amount of spend which has to happen in Indian R&D is abysmal. We spend about 0.6, 0.7% of our GDP. Whereas any matured economy, you look at China, they're spending about 3-4% of their GDP. Their GDP itself is about 6 times than us. The amount of money they're pumping into R&D, it's pretty low in India. Because there are so many institutions, the money gets distributed. So the chunk of money which should come for a large impactful project doesn't happen. Today, if you see an iPhone gets launched, the same day it's available to Indians too. Same way, any scientific technology which is getting launched globally, it's available to India the same day. But the adoption slowness or the laggardness beats me.
It's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Praveen Gupta, founder and managing director of Premas Life Sciences, to the big idea.
I think we've not actualized the power of genomics in India, and hoping to see a day when actually we truly see that genomics is taught in every medical school so that patients can get early access and a choice to have a better diagnostics, a better prognostic tool. Ultimately, by the way the birth rates are going down, they're saying that by 2040 or something, our population will start going down, and we'll have aging population coming up that time. So let's leverage this next 20 years, which is our golden period, to make sure that India does innovation, which is leading the path first to the global south.
If you restart your career with just 10,000 rupees today, what would you do differently?
My first salary was 1800 rupees.
Oh,
An entrepreneur is somebody who identifies a gap and solves the problem. So to me, even if you have 10,000 rupees today, if you have a good idea and if you can have right set of people, co-founders who back you, you can get fundings, both from government and from private investors who can give you, seed funding to basically follow your dream.
welcome to The Big Idea, Voice of Healthcare's leadership podcast series, where we bring you thought-provoking conversations with the visionaries, innovators, and change makers shaping the future of healthcare in India. Today, we are delighted to be joined by a leader whose journey spans over 3 decades at the forefront of life sciences and biotechnology. From starting on the sales floor to building one of India's leading life sciences companies, he has played a pivotal role in bringing global innovations in genomics, molecular diagnostics, and precision medicine closer to Indian researchers, clinicians, and patients. Under his leadership, Premas Life Sciences has become a trusted partner in advancing cutting-edge science and strengthening India's genomics ecosystem. His commitment to innovation and scientific excellence has helped bridge the gap between breakthrough global technologies and their real-world impact in India. It's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Praveen Gupta, founder and managing director, Premas Life Sciences, to The Big Idea. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nancy. Thank you so much for that diffusive, introduction. I wish I can live up to it. And thank you to VOH for inviting me here. I would love to share my thoughts and ideas about, my journey, and looking forward to this conversation.
Same here, sir. So you started your career not in a lab, but in sales. Today, you're helping shape India's genomics landscape. What did those early years teach you that still guide you today?
I think if I look back and as much I can recollect myself, I was always very curious, and I remember the phrase came much later, stay hungry, stay foolish, So even in my formative years, in those early years, when I did not know what I wanted to do, I think one thing which has probably remained is, to be curious, to be hungry, and that passion which comes along to make you hungry is probably, I don't know whether it's epigenetic change or a genetic change, but I always had that, So I think that's something which has been a constant feature of my existence till now. I think that's been there. So that's been the driving force. And the passion, again, kind of found a area like genomics to actualize the potential which I had from my education and from my upbringing, So, and as they say, when the conditions are right, you thrive, So I think I got my right conditions to basically explore my potential, and I'm happy, that I could do a little bit of work in that space, So and that's where I'm here.
So you are not only doing a little bit, but I think you're doing a lot in the space of genomics for India and putting us on the map. That's great, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So take us back to the beginning. What did ambition look like when you were just starting out?
When I started, it was very early days, as I said, this was way back in 1992, I mean, things weren't the way it is today. There was no internet, there was no email, there was no phones, there was no mobile phones, there was nothing of this kind, available. So in those days, I share my example. I started I did my master's in genetics, and I was based in Pune. I was staying in a small lodge, and I had a whole Maharashtra territory to be covered. Most times, I used to travel overnight,
Yeah.
check into a lodge, get ready, do the whole day's work, come back and travel again the whole night, and then again restart the entire thing. And this was 6 days a week. This wasn't a 5 days a week kind of a thing. So difficult times, and you had very strict SLAs in terms of your daily performances, that you have to meet X number of clinicians and hospitals and pathology labs. So at that point, ambition was very different. It was basic comforts like, okay, one day I'm going to stay in a decent hotel. One day I'll travel comfortably. One day I'll be having washed clothes to come back and rely on. One day I'll have proper meals, which I can have healthy meals, because when you're traveling that much, you're eating whatever comes your way. So at that point, ambition was very different. As you mature, as you gain more exposure, your ambition starts growing up, and you start shaping it up. So, and slowly, I would say it took me about 3-4 years to figure out my mojo. So I realized that, okay, I have certain abilities in terms of understanding biology. How do I now translate this understanding into some commercial sense which can create an impact? And that is a journey which you grow on. But to be honest, in the start, it was about roti kapda makan, as they say, as basic as that. So I was in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right at the bottom of the pyramid. So and it kind of grew at a stage, which as exposure started coming in.
So inspiring, sir. That's really inspiring. So, what was your first I've made it moment then?
Well, I honestly, I've never had that feeling, that I've made it. Uh, it's a journey. It's a journey. I mean, each day is a journey. Each day is a challenge, especially now with the kind of VUCA world we are living in. Each day comes with, every morning you get up, you see a different challenge coming in. So I think that feeling of aha moment to say that I've arrived or I've made it is far, far away. For me, I think I'm happy that, after working for 3 decades, as you rightly said, I still get up in the morning, and I'm actually looking forward to the day. I'm looking forward to going to office or meeting people and meeting customers, and trying to do something which I know still excites me. And I'm really thankful to um, all my teachers, all my parents, my surrounding, that mindset of not being bored or feeling that I've achieved something, that just doesn't come in inside at all. Absolutely. So for me, I don't have that moment of I've arrived.
You witnessed India's biotech evolution for over 3 decades. What are we still getting wrong, you think?
Lots of things. I mean, I
Yeah.
would say things have changed. Things have changed for a lot of positive things, but I still believe, like if you talk about research space, so we cater 2 or 3 primarily different markets. We cater to academic research, we cater to in vitro diagnostics, we cater to pharma biopharma space. When it comes to academic research, I still believe the amount of spend which has to happen in Indian R&D is abysmal. I think I've spoken about this multiple times, that we spend about 0.6, 0.7% of our GDP, whereas any matured economy, you look at China, they're spending about 3-4% of their GDP.
Wow.
Their GDP itself is about 6 times than us. So imagine 6 times than us, our GDP size, plus they're spending about 5-6x percentage. So the amount of money they're pumping into R&D, it's pretty low in India. That's one. Second, whatever money still comes in kind of gets, because there are so many institutions, the money gets distributed. So the chunk of money which should come for a large impactful project doesn't happen. Third, I think, see, there was a time when India was plagued by the fact that you did not have an access to a technology as they were launched. Today, if you see an iPhone gets launched, the same day it's available to Indians too. Same way, any scientific technology which is getting launched globally, it's available to India the same day. But the adoption slowness or the laggardness beats me because of bureaucracy, because of funding, because of multiple cycles. It might take a year and a half for those technologies to come in. So you then always are kind of becoming a follower than a leader.
Not than a leader.
So that's one thing, which is clearly there. Similarly, if you look at pharma, biopharma, I mean, while fantastic, India has cracked the piece of becoming a low-cost generic manufacturer. By reducing the cost, we will be able to access to the patients, the medicine. But unless India actually embarks on new drug discovery, that means novel drugs are discovered in India. Till now, we've not had a single drug discovered in India. So unless we do invest into drug discovery, and I think Government of India is trying to push a lot of new schemes to basically catalyze this process. But I still believe, that it hasn't happened to the level it should happen. So these are things, which kind of pains me that, I think I would like to see India thriving there.
True, sir, because we have such bright minds, and hopefully things will change. And now I was reading in the news as well that India is calling back the talents, and so we are really looking forward, especially in the research space.
Absolutely.
So we are looking forward to a brighter future.
Agree.
Hopefully,
agree,
yeah.
Agree.
So are we producing scientists or simply producing degree holders? What do you think?
Good question, So I think I keep having this debate with a lot of scientists, I mean, and I think somewhere the genesis of this. So if you look at PhD, okay, so
Right.
people who do PhD or people who take science, who should take science? Those who are inherently curious about solving a problem. Okay, so India is having a problem that the brightest minds in the country are not taking science as their first choice. So when we were growing up, at least, the first choice for the brightest kids, was always science.
Right.
Today, commerce has beaten science because it's more career oriented. The returns are much higher. And there's a systemic loop because Indian entrepreneurs in science or Indian science has not commercialized itself very well, that it can offer a bright and rewarding career for people to take science or STEM as their first choice. That's one. But coming back to your questions about whether it's just a degree or it's truly a scientist, and I think to me, you look at a PhD. I strongly believe a PhD should be a curious question of the person who's doing the PhD to say, I want to solve this problem, and hence they join a lab which is working in that space so that they can work on the question they have in the mind. It should not be a pursuit of a PI,
Right.
which a student is trying to answer. So that's a fundamental step at which I think first, curiosity. Second, finding a place where your curiosity can be honed
Yes.
and you can work on that area. And finally, that pursuit of figuring out newer gaps and going deeper into that area. And ultimately, with a mindset that, okay, whatever is my discovery, unless you're working on a basic science, if you can look at tomorrow translating your work to make an impact on people, it'll remain as a publication and probably never see the larger masses being impacted. And to me, I think that's very important.
True, sir. That's very, very insightful. Really, that's how you should pursue PhD rather than just getting a PI, like you said. Yeah. So, are we still underestimating how much genomics will change everyday healthcare? Being from the dental industry, I'm very curious about what will be the impact of genomics in dentistry. So, if you could just throw some light on that.
So let me answer your first question. I mean, are we still undervaluing the importance of genomics? I think so. I mean, the reason I'm saying this, while we've come a long way, I mean, the adoption of genomics have occurred in the Indian clinical markets fairly well, I would say, but still the knowledge of the clinicians to prescribe more genomic or multi-omic based assays for regulatory bodies to basically have proper mechanisms to regulate genomics as a space in the clinical practice, that needs to be catalyzed. I still believe that we are far, far away, because you must have heard of Made in India. Okay. Fantastic. We should be into manufacturing because that creates jobs. But I strongly believe in biology, we have an inherent advantage. India has 1.45 billion people living in India, and there's a diaspora. Okay. Which means, and India is a melting pot of various populations which have converged together over the years of history of of the migration populations migration. So here is a place where discovery can happen, because there's so much of diversity available that tomorrow the kind of diversity in the genome which we have in this country for any disease area is massive. So if India were to deploy this power by using technology which is available, with the cost coming down, if we can tomorrow create data sets, if we can create discovery sets, we can find out novel biomarkers for drugs here. We can then look at discovering drugs on those biomarkers. We can look at repurposing some of our drugs which are existingly approved on things. So to me, I think there's a long way. I think we have not actualized the power of genomics in India, but a lot of us, are trying to make an effort to educate, to evangelize the concept, to see, and hoping to see a day when actually we truly see that, genomics is taught in every medical school, every MBBS, every MD, when they pass out, they really realize the power of genomics in their practice, so that patients can get early access and a choice to have a better diagnostics, a better prognostic tool. That's an aim, that's a dream which we are looking at.
That's very true, sir. Very thought-provoking, because from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, we have such diversity.
Correct.
And I mean, India is the melting pot.
Exactly.
For,
And
genomic
diversity.
study.
Absolutely. And here we are talking about genomics alone. So look at epigenomics, which is a change. So it does not change the genetic constituent, but there are changes upon the genome, which is basically caused by the environmental factors too. So you look at every 100 kilometers, our language changes, our food changes. These are different
Yes.
environmental conditions.
Yes.
How they're impacting us. How somebody who has been born and brought up in Rajasthan for 30 years maybe, and they move to Bombay, and then the diet changes and the conditions changes, how does it impact the physiology of the body because of this change? And you asked me a question about how does genomics impact, say, a dental space, in your...
Yes.
I mean, there's a huge amount of science coming up now, So we were discussing that mouth is a gateway to the
Yes.
body,
Yes.
per se. So people are now finding out that the oral microbiome not only constitutes on the oral hygiene factor, which is there, of course, you have cavities which are caused by bacteria and stuff like that. But they are finding now that your oral bacteria or oral biofilms which are created tomorrow are associated with cardiac disorders. So the bacteria in your mouth is associated with cardiac disorders, with neurological conditions, with oncology now.
Yes.
The tumor microbiomes they found signatures of bacteria which are there in your mouth. So if you do not take, if your oral cavities, oral hygiene, or the oral microbiome composition is not proper, or is in, if it's in dysbiosis per se, it can result into so many metabolic disorders, neurological disorders, including oncology. So a lot of work is happening in that area, and I wish to see that coming in the clinic routinely. There's one area which we are working on very interestingly, that we are trying to develop an oral cancer. India has an oral cancer burden because we chew tobacco. So we are trying to figure out a oral cancer detection test, in which, of course, we'll be taking out samples from the oral cavity itself. So again, and we are looking at here in the host genetic changes. But tomorrow, I'm pretty sure a microbiome plus the host genetic change can give more, I would say, significant signatures in times to come.
So eye-opening. I hope our audience are able to see the benefits. Penetrates, like you said, it's not just a chapter. Let it not just be a chapter in the book, in our bachelor's, but let it penetrate into every aspect of medical sciences,
Hopefully.
so that all of us are able to see and understand the importance. Thank you, sir.
I'm into that.
So how different do you think hospitals will look over the next decade because of genomics?
Very interesting. So I think, let me paint a picture to you.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine tomorrow. So genomics is one of the key things which genomics is basically resulted into is personalized medicine. So this whole regime called one size fits all
Yes.
has to go,
Yes.
because each one of us are different. While you and me are 99.9% similar in our DNA
Yes.
constitution, but that 0.01% makes you and makes me, you know. And how does these differences or these genetic variations impact our choices of the medicine in future, uh, is where genomics and multiomics is contributing. So imagine a future. I'm just giving you one example. I mean, of course, most hospitals will have genomic labs or multiomic labs giving testing. But I'll give you, it might sound fictional, but let me give you a small idea. Tomorrow, think about in a future world where somebody has, God forbidden, a cancer. They come to a hospital. An hospital does all the testing. They do a biopsy. They sequence the tumor. They figure out the neoantigens which are created by the mutations within the tumor. And based on the neoantigens, the hospital has a personalized unit which is creating a personalized vaccine or a therapy which is
Wow.
given to that patient where n is equal to 1. That means it's only suitable for that particular patient based on the tumor constituents. And imagine a hospital becomes like a pharma manufacturing unit where each hospital is producing drugs for single patient,
Customized.
customized.
Wow.
With all the regulatory frameworks in place, just imagine a world like that. This is just one example.
That will be amazing because, we all dream of space age and all of that. I think this is what we should, because health is everything. If there's no health, there's nothing. So this would be great if, governments could come together and throw light on globally, not just in India, but that's a beautiful picture that you painted.
Thank
And
you.
I hope it becomes a reality.
Thank you.
As per the last, so do you see DNA sequencing becoming as a routine as a blood test?
See, in some future, yes.
Yes.
Still, currently the technology has lots of advantages, but it has to reach the simplicity, the cost effectiveness, um, and become so easy to use that tomorrow the way other blood tests are done. So, like for example, let me give you an idea that India has approximately about 3 lakh pathology labs all spread across.
Wow.
Okay. Out of that 3 lakh pathology labs, currently there are about 150 to 200 which are offering sequencing, DNA sequencing. It's a very small number because A, the skill set which you require is different. So you need to have that much of trained manpower available. Then to analyze the data, you require that kind of bioinformaticians or the tools which are there. Third is the capital investment which is required to do these tests. Fourth is after making the capital investments, you require an X number of tests to come in to basically make an ROI out of that investment. So all these areas have to improve. Tomorrow, imagine if there are more number of clinicians prescribing the test, more and more labs will tomorrow start adopting these technologies.
True.
Technology will also become as simple so that it, like there are technologies in PCR now where you just have to put the sample, it does the extraction, does the amplification, gives you the report. It becomes like a idiot proof kind of a thing. Tomorrow, who knows, high-end genomics too will become as idiot proof that you just have to put the sample and you get the data, you analyze it. There are automated bots to analyze the data, and then a pathologist can look at the data and probably create a report out of the entire thing. So yes, it will become much more pervasive than what it is today. But will it become as ubiquitous as a blood test? I think it'll take many, many, many decades to happen.
Many decades.
Yes.
Oh. So, what are the ethical challenges that we should start preparing for when it comes to the space?
I think there's a lot of chatter and a lot of talk going on because genomics is one field where even if you blind the patient information, that means I hide the name, I hide all the other demographic indicators. Still, based on your genomic information, somebody can actually narrow down the person. Can.
Yes.
So now there are government is trying to create a lot of guidelines towards this. So all the new guidelines which are coming up in terms of data security, digital data securities, So all those are right now, I mean, as we speak, each country is looking at their GDPR, their SOC 3, so India has Disha guidelines. India is coming out with newer guidelines to make sure that from a ethical standpoint, the patient data is not exploited either by insurance companies to basically deprive someone based on your genomic data, that somebody does not get an insurance or the insurance premiums are higher. So it's a as per the guidelines, it's completely criminal to basically differentiate people based on the genomic information. So ethical concerns are that this data should not be shared with people without the right consent coming
Right.
from the person whose data we are using. How do we ensure that there's no targeting of certain specific people or groups based on the genomic data? Like people have, in certain cultures in India, uh, if somebody is predisposed to a genetic condition, they may be a carrier.
Right.
And imagine if there's a taboo in the society and the person doesn't get married because of the taboo that,
True. We have a lot.
oh, they are a carrier. Okay, so so the education, proper ethical guidelines, and of course regulatory backbone has to be in place, so that this massive adoption, when it occurs, it's not been there's no negative impact of utilizing this data towards a harm. So it should not become a bane, which is such a
Rather than
boon.
bone. Yeah.
So, and like anything, fire is a beautiful discovery, but if you do not use it in the right
Yes.
manner, it can burn you,
Yes.
or otherwise it cooks so beautifully and feeds us. So that's the way it is.
True, sir. Thank you for that. So, when you founded Premas Life Sciences, what was the biggest risk that you took?
See, before Premas, I was an employee. So every employee has this, inertia towards entrepreneurship, because when you're an employee, you may have dissatisfaction because you're working in an organization, you're not happy with certain things. All of us, have
Right.
that same feeling. So there are lots of positive things you learn and you enjoy, but there are always things which you don't enjoy because you're not getting the freedom because you're working for an organization. Organization does not work on your ideas and your whims and fancies.
Yes.
It has its own vision. And so from there, when you want to break away to create an entrepreneurship journey, and when you want to set up any organization, for me, it was Premas. I think the first thing is always an inertia that, okay, you're getting a fixed salary, your house is running, your bills are paid, your kids' education has been done. If I take up this entrepreneurial jump,
Yeah.
what if tomorrow this money will, I don't know when will I succeed? This continuity of money which is coming in, tomorrow will stop. Will I be so whatever savings I have, it'll be exhausted after some time. If I don't succeed, then can I come back to a job? So all those dilemmas, all those doubts um, come to every normal, natural human being, when they're making this journey. And I think that's the fun, that you have to fight those demons.
Yes.
You have to convince yourself. You have to have a family and friends, who back you to say, okay, take that leap of faith. Ultimately, it's a leap of faith. And you're lucky that if things come well, and then you're in the right time at the right place with the right set of people and technologies and team. And then that happens, magic happens. And you you celebrate posterity. You look at beautifully at your journey back. But yeah, I mean, these are the inertias typically which you have.
Yes, sir. You're so right. You've spelled out every entrepreneur's challenge, like, when it comes to just starting first step towards entrepreneurship. So that's so relatable. So, as a leader, do you build people first or business?
See, you may have an idea. So whenever, honestly, you start, you have a vision, you have an idea. And ultimately, that idea has to be actualized by people. It's again a chicken egg story. Okay. You have an idea, and then you get the people who build that idea into a business unit.
Right.
Or there are times when you have people and you trust them so well because they've performed earlier, and then you brainstorm on an idea together and build up together. So to me, I think these are both passages. But the reality is that I think no idea can ever be successful without the people.
Without.
So people are ultimately the most important cog in the wheel, because it's people's passion, it's the team. And I've been blessed to have a fantastic team, which has stuck around with me. They've trusted us. We've gone through our own ups and downs, and they've stuck around. And the kind of passion and the kind of commitment they brought in the table, uh, that's where I think. So sometimes you may have initial success, okay, and then to sustain that, because
You need the people.
it's not easy. You may have a fluke, you may have a maybe a serendipitous discovery, or a one success which is coming in. But to sustain that, you have to have people who consistently believe in your philosophy, vision, and put in their 100% to basically see to it that continuously you're building, and you're growing upwardly. Then only, genuinely speaking, teams, businesses are built or ideas are built. That's where I believe.
True, sir. Business ideas are just an idea without the people. So, can India realistically become a global genomics manufacturing hub? Of course, you discussed the fact that we have, but do you see that becoming a reality if we were to surpass the challenges of funding, and which I honestly see, because that now that India is calling the global, globally calling the talents back. Do you see that happening? Like,
Okay.
if we were to surpass the challenges of, say, the funding, and do you see that happening?
If you ask me, do we have the potential? Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
So when I say potential, it means basically talent.
Yes.
It basically means diversity of samples, and the biological diversity which is available, whether it's human, animal, plant, and bacteria, viruses. We have everything in diversity, which is available. Um, so leveraging this, can we become a genomics leader? I strongly believe, to begin with, we can certainly lead the global south. The global south, which is basically developing world.
Right.
India can certainly lead that area, that because all of the global south has by and large similar conditions. If you look at Latin America, if you look at Africa, if you look at India, if you look at Southeast Asia,
Yes.
most of these problems are similar. India can certainly leapfrog to become a leader for the global south to begin with. That here solutions are discovered, manufactured, developed, which can first cater India, then cater the global south. Have that massive, I would say, training your pipelines and your tools and your products on such a large data set, and then try to look at capturing the so-called developed world. So, and a large amount of population lies in the global south. So if we can take care of 70-75% of the population, we are automatically becoming a global leader.
True.
So that's my practical approach towards, I would say, leveraging a new frontier like omics or genomics, towards, and pairing with India's strength and the potential.
That's a great vision. Yeah, you're so right. Like, if we were to lead the global south, so that would very, very much make a difference in the space here. What does affordable innovation really mean in biotechnology?
See, the whole concept of affordability, because, see, again, I'm saying, see, right now what is happening is if you're relying on the West. So you look at, if a technology is getting developed in the West, where assuming a per capita income is about $50,000. So every metric, when they're discovering, when they're making a product, the pricing, the strategy, is based on the fact that their paying capacity is about, say, $50,000. Okay. Now the same technology has to come to India, where the per capita income is $2,500. Almost, you can imagine, 25 times lower than that.
Yes.
How do you basically now adapt in these markets? And when I say India, I'm again saying global south, because India, LATAM, Africa, Southeast Asia, similar. They may be slightly higher. Maybe some countries might be slightly lower. So frugal innovations, using the power of numbers here. We have the sheer numbers. How do we basically tomorrow use this power of massive number of samples here to bring down the cost by locally innovating, locally developing solutions, um, to bring the cost down where a large number of population can tomorrow adopt to it. That's one area of it. But I also believe that India is again, um, it's a beautiful confluence of various stratas living together. So India is not a homogeneous population; it's a heterogeneous population, both from a genetic diversity and also from a fiscal diversity. So again, I'm saying India can tomorrow develop solutions for large masses, but India can also develop solutions for the top cream layers. So people within India, there are lots of millionaires too.
Yes.
How do we? Some people can develop solutions for those. So genomics, for example, they could be high-end tests which can cater the upper echelons of people who can afford to pay. And there could be also larger discoveries, in terms of bringing the cost down to pay, to make sure that genomics is not discriminating a patient, to truly democratize genomics, to reach the ground and to the masses.
Masses.
How do we make panels, tools, products, analysis pipelines which can cater a common man to answer or to disease, to diagnose disease early, to give a precision medicine based interventions which are tailored specific to a patient. And all that is possible because we have the scale available. There are many countries where there's no scale available.
Yes.
We have the scale available.
Yes.
So it is possible to.
Diversity is a big question in
Correct.
most of these countries.
Correct. So we should leverage our demographic.
Yes.
So the demographic dividend of India is fantastic in terms of young population, a large population. Ultimately, by the way the birth rates are going down, they're saying that by 2040 or something, we'll start, our population will start going down, and we'll have aging population coming up that time. So let's leverage this next 20 years, which is our golden period, to make sure that India does innovation which can which is leading the path first to the global south and then maybe world over.
I hope young India is listening to this, and I hope the space evolves in the coming 20 years, because that's all that we have from the data. So let's end with a quick rapid fire. One belief about success that has completely changed your mind.
One belief about success which has completely changed my mind. How do you sustain your motivation? So sustaining your motivation over time, people who can inherently keep that going tend to succeed more than people who have these flashes of motivation, is what I believe.
Being consistent.
Yes.
A decision you regret but would still make again.
I think I would love to become I would love to start up new ventures. I would love to enter into new areas. I would like to continue making more mistakes, rather than stop it.
If not biotech, what would you have been?
I always wanted to be a cricketer.
Wow.
So when I was growing up, my passion was to play cricket, and till very late, I used to play cricket in my little gully and my little colonies and stuff like that. So if not into the biotech space, I would have certainly loved to pursue my cricket or acting or something like that. I used to do some dramas in the stage and stuff like that. So I would have loved to play that.
Discover that side of you. One book every young professional should read.
I think there are lots of books. I would say when it comes to people who are looking at business or looking at so one book which has very profoundly impacted me was a book called Positioning. It was by El Rees and Jack Trout. So they say whenever you're making anything, any product, so it's not about features of the product. It's about positioning in the mind of the people. Whatever products you have, it has to position in the mind of the people. So when you think of Apple, in your mind, you think of a very high-end product. And that's what Apple has succeeded. Steve Jobs has been successfully creating that positioning in the mind.
Right.
Ultimately, it's a phone.
It is a phone.
And there are phone which is available in 5,000 rupees. You tend to pay 1.5 lakh rupees for a high-end phone. It's because the positioning done in your mind is it's a very safe, very high-quality phone.
Every year when they introduce their new phone,
Yes.
I mean, I do look out to see what is different, but
exactly.
It's not very different. But
Exactly.
people just buy into the idea.
Yeah. So this is one, but I think the most common book is Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I think that's a very, very nice, simple, very easy reading. And there are many, who moved my cheese. Again, a very simple, few pages book, which has a very profound impact. I think everybody should go through these books.
Thank you for the recommendations. India in 2040, leader or follower in biotech. We just discussed.
I think we have a huge opportunity right now to be a leader. I strongly believe that the conditions are right, the timing is right.
Yes.
We have the skill sets. if the policymakers, if the Indian industry also starts taking more risky bets, we don't take the safest bets, but we take some risky bets right now. And I think if industry academia can work together, if we can create platforms, I think India can leapfrog the biotech space.
If you restart your career with just 10,000 rupees today, what would you do differently?
My first salary was 1,800 rupees.
Oh,
Okay, so if I were to start in 10,000 rupees, I think, again, luckily, I'll tell you what today, Dr. Nancy. In today's context, when I started, this whole culture of startup was not there. So today, even if you have 10,000 rupees, if you have a great idea, if you have a set of people you know who can tomorrow create that idea into a business, there are people to fund you. That's a huge difference which has occurred in the last 10, 15 years,
true.
which wasn't there about 30 years back. So today you may not have the money, but if you identified the gap. So an entrepreneur is somebody who identifies a gap
Yes.
and solves the problem.
Yes.
So if you can train your mind to find the gap, gaps exist. Gaps will always exist. And Uber found a gap which is profound like a taxi service. And it created an app which has now become an industry.
Yes.
Airbnb created your home into a staying possibility by an app. That gap always existed for people to stay at affordable home-like conditions, and they've leveraged that. So to me, even if you have 10,000 rupees today, if you have a good idea and if you can have right set of people, co-founders who back you, you can get fundings, both from government and from private investors who can give you, seed funding to basically follow your dream.
Great. Thank you for the great rapid fire round. One closing question, sir. If a 22-year-old wants to build something meaningful in science today, what advice would you give them that no one else?
I don't know whether I can give a unique advice or not, but I can say that science is very very science can be very lucrative. So do not. Science may take a little longish time to give you returns, but I think science has a huge potential to tomorrow give you returns in multiple folds. So that's one. Second, I think train your mind to find gaps. And for that, you need to be curious. You need to be always asking questions. You need to be always dissatisfied with the status quo. So if a 22-year-old science student is looking up at his life, has to be curious, has to be hungry, has to be challenging the status quo, and has to believe that science can deliver exponential growth if they can channelize their hunger, their growth, their curiosity with the right set of people and ecosystems.
Great message for the young India. Sir, thank you for sharing your journey, your vision, and your insights with us. It's been a pleasure to have you and hosting you on The Big Idea. We wish you and the entire team of Premas Life Sciences continued success.
Thank you, Dr. Nancy. Likewise, I really enjoyed my tete-a-tete with you, and it's always good to meet a clinician and share views. And I think I really want to thank VOH. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job in creating such podcast where bringing diverse set of people to share their views. So thank you so much, and all the best to you. All the best to you, Dr. Nancy. Look
Thank you
forward
so
to
much,
having
sir.
more interactions.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.